Yeah.
Hi, everyone. We're going to get started around 1 o'clock.
Hey. Got some going? Yeah. Not that. Get it down low.
I think we're good.
As long as Philip's ready.
I was told I have a face for radio, so I don't know if.
Oh, well,
Why
I
did
don't
you-
have no microphone for you.
All right, well, welcome everybody to the October 26th Fire Safety Council meeting. We will start out with our welcome and introductions. We'll start inside the room. I am Philip Simi. I'm the OES manager for Trinity County.
My name is Kelly Sheen. I'm the district manager for the Trinity County Resource Conservation District.
I'm Thomas. I'm a forestry tech for the Trinity County Resource Conservation District.
My name is Skylar Fisher and I coordinate the Trinity County Fire Safe Council here at the Trinity County Resource Conservation District.
Hello, I'm Randy Paris. I am the Forestry and Fuel Program Director at the Watershed Center.
Hi, I'm Shay Callahan. I'm the new conservation planner at RCS.
I'm Chris Cole. I'm the district conservationist for NRCS.
I'm that name of forestry technician for the RC. Madriana, I am the project coordinator for the forestry program here at the RC.
Hi, I'm Joanne. That's at a citizen from Post Mountain.
Jerry Carpenter, Post Mountain.
Jim Spear, co-facilitator for the Trinity Collaborative.
And I'm Mike Allen. I'm a Reading DLM fuel specialist.
Take care of everybody in the room. We'll move over to on Zoom. I guess we'll start out with Carol Fall.
Carol Fall, Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department, North Lake, and apologize. I wanted to be there in person and we just got a medical call, so just got back.
Yeah,
So I'm eating my lunch, don't mind me.
You didn't bring enough for everybody. Bring it out. Okay, we've got Chuck up there.
Yeah, it's Chuck Colby, Lewiston Fire Department.
Thank you, Chuck. Xander.
Afternoon. I'm Xander Winter, forester with the Watershed Center.
Thank you, Xander. Denise.
Hello, Denise Wesley, GIS manager for the Trinity County RCD. Sorry I couldn't be there in person.
Oh, thank you. How about Jerry Cousins?
Hi, everybody. Jerry Cousins. I'm the LAR and with the Trinity County Collaborative.
Thank you.
And today I have to leave at about 2:30, so I may be signing off early. Thank you.
Who do we got now? Dan Dogart.
Oh, sorry about the camera. Yeah, hi, my name's Dan. I'm with Northern Valley Catholic Social Services. I'm an emergency preparedness educator over here.
Great, thank you, Dan. Okay, let's see where we at. Heidi Carpenter.
Just a heads up, I want to panel this afternoon on our timber transport.
I lost Heidi. Where did she go? There she is. Heidi, did you want to introduce yourself? Yes, not. Okay, we'll keep moving on. Kayla Meyer.
That yours? That yours?
Kayla, I think you came off mute, but we're not able to hear you. Anyway, Kayla Meyer is with RCD, also with RCD.
Yes.
Megan.
Hello, I'm Megan Colleen. I'm with the Watershed Research and Training Center. I do volunteer coordination.
Thank you, Megan. Why, where are we at? We have a lot of people on here today.
This is Dana Magdalena.
Yeah, Dana.
Hello, I'm Dina Magdaleno. I'm with the Sonongway Council in the Western Trinity, Eastern Humboldt counties.
Thank you, Dana. Sandy Faulkner.
Hi, I'm Sandy Faulkner. I'm the fire prevention officer
for the Shasta Trinity on the Big Barn Weaverville side. And I'm representing the local district today.
We've got Larry Glass.
Hey, Larry Glass. I'm the local area advisor for South Fork Mountain. I'm with SAFE and the Trinity Collaborative.
Thank you, Larry. Ruth?
Yep. My name is Ruth Esperance. I'm the Public Affairs Officer for the Shasta Trinity National Forest.
Thank you, Ruth. Sophia?
Hello, my name is Sophia Sadie, just a community member from the Downriver area.
Thank you, Sophia. Welcome. Anybody else on Zoom? I've got a couple that are just phones. I'm not sure who.
Yeah, it's Glenn Tingley, Division 3 on the TRMU.
Okay, great, Glenn. And we have got one other phone on Zoom if you want to chime in.
Ending with 9504.
John Brower from the Junction City Fire Safe Board.
Right. Thank you, John.
Anybody else that we missed?
I think.
Nadisa.
There you go.
There.
Jump to the top. Go ahead.
Not hearing you.
Yeah. Sorry, you're not coming through, even though you're unmuted, muted. And Jill in the room, you want to go ahead and introduce
Jill
yourself?
Cox, Board of Supervisors.
Great, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Great turnout today. A lot going on, obviously. Okay, item number 2 is additions or changes to the agenda. Do we have any additions or changes anybody would like to make to today's agenda? Oh, yeah. So, hearing none, we'll move on to discussions. So we've got the scheduling for the November and December of this year for the Fire Safe Council to avoid holiday splits.
Fire Safe Council, so trying to make community deal with this kind of stuff.
Okay. Do we have a discussion on the schedule for the next 2 months with the conflict with holidays? Is there somebody that wanted to?
Right, so a normal scheduled 4th Thursday of November falls on Thanksgiving Day. Right. And then the 28th of December falls between Christmas and New Year's. So I would propose that we push out the November meeting to either the 30th of November and then skip December. Wait, I mean, it could be either the 30th or the 7th, I'd say.
Well, in the past, we just combined November and December.
Right. That's what I think I was getting at, Carol.
Our only conflict with November 30th is we're planning to do the neighborhood ambassador event that evening.
Okay.
We want to try and push it.
So it could
first of December.
Yeah, I mean it, and then we have a staff meeting on the 7th, but I guess we could rearrange that if we wanted to. And so I guess I would suggest either the 7th or the 14th of December. Any
Check the weather, guy.
We don't know what the weather is next week, let alone 2 months.
Are we at the 14th at the conference?
Oh, conference is 14th, that's right. So
I like the 7th.
the 7th.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
December 7th for the November and December meeting.
Combined meeting. Any opposition to that? Great, thank you all.
Great, thank you, Mark. Okay, item number 2, the 2024 chair nominations. Do we have any nominees?
I'd like to nominate Phil. I think you're doing a
Oh,
great
come
job.
on, Carol. There goes your siren.
That's okay. Well, I mean, just for the group's, edification or whatever, I mean, in the past, the chair was a member of the volunteer fire departments, just because that way they didn't have a conflict of interest when it came to letters of support for grants and stuff like that. So last year we wrangled county OES into kind of stepping in. And so if you have kind of that pool of people who can be chair, the fire departments or county OES, I think Phil's been doing a great job.
Well, thank you very much. I accept your nomination.
I second the nomination.
Wow, that didn't take long. I knew I was going to try and skip over that. Okay, number 3, wildfire cameras. I know this came up in last month's discussion. I have not really gotten anywhere. I was on vacation for a couple of weeks. I did get some information from. Do we have somebody here? Because I don't know everybody here. So I have
Jim Spear.
Yeah, okay, it's all right. So I ended up with Jim's contact information from somebody, but I wasn't able to reach out to Jim. So our discussion, I don't know if you were involved in this last month.
I was not.
Okay. The discussion was to try and add more wildfire cameras, and your name kind of came up in the discussion. Your thoughts on, or what you could provide any information on adding more cameras? What are what are our steps? What will we be able to do?
No, I'm happy to do that. Randy did call me subsequent to your last meeting and
Okay.
Asked me to attend to give an update.
Okay.
This group is not alone in the interest in terms of promoting more cameras in Trinity County. So the Trinity Collaborative at our last meeting had a fairly robust discussion. And so I was asked to do a little legwork, a little follow-up subsequent to that meeting. I was given a couple of names by Kelly. One of those names actually produced some pretty good results. So I'll give you a rundown on the results. So Mike Wilson was one of those names that Kelly gave me. I don't know if that name rings a bell because he is currently employed by the California Fire Safety Council. But as of November 1st, Mike will be moving full-time to Alert California. So to back up a little bit, several years ago, Kelly, 17, 18, something like that.
It was about 2018, 2019.
Right. So the Trinity Collaborative, this was high on the radar. Evidently, was not around for that. But that's my understanding. And Kelly and Pat Frost and
Travis Finch
primarily kind of formed this ad hoc group, right, to move this issue forward and see what could be done, get more cameras in Trinity County. That effort produced, I believe, this spreadsheet, which unfortunately I did not bring copies, but we could probably get those to you if you're interested. But this is a spreadsheet of approximately 21 sites that the collaborative identified and kind of prioritized that would be the focus of their attention and working with partners and other organizations interested in collaborating with us here in Trinity County. So when I reached out to Mike, he was very responsive. And given that he will be kind of moving into this full-time role with Alert California, he informed me that in the past, there were kind of two organizations that were kind of promoting and involved in kind of the overall administration of these wildlife cameras and getting more of them installed in California. So you had Alert Wildfire, which was kind of partnering with UNR, University of Nevada, Reno. And then you had Alert California, which was partnering with UC San Diego. So according to Mike, those two organizations probably about a year ago had a little falling out, a little divorce, I think was the term he used. And so the Alert Wildfire / UNR organization is no longer really a viable organization. I guess they're still kind of technically existing, but not very functional, according to Mike. So Alert California really has kind of taken on the leadership role along with UC San Diego, and again, working towards that goal of getting more cameras where the need is, where the partners and local interests exist. But Mike is very enthusiastic, very open to, working with whatever partners Trinity County has, and whatever resources, that he can bring to the table. Mike also informed me that there has been actually some progress in moving things forward here in Trinity County. I've yet to kind of understand how that all came about, but I hope to soon get a little more information in terms of Alert California, their process, and how they work and how they operate, how they engage, in getting cameras. Because to my knowledge, I don't know that they're working with anybody currently locally. Yeah. So this is all kind of coming from afar. But he did inform me that there are 5 sites currently on schedule to be implemented in Trinity County in 2024.
That's in addition to the 2 that currently exist. There's one on Oregon Mountain and the other's on Hayford Valley.
No, that's one scheduled, according to my.
I know there's a second one.
Yeah, there is.
Larry, where's the second one?
Talking to me, you need to say it again.
Oh, sorry. Where was the second camera? There's one on Oregon Mountain, and then there's another one, and I can't remember where it is.
It's on Hay Fork Summit there.
Oh, Hay Fork Summit. Okay, it's Hay Fork Summit. Thank you, Larry.
So the 5 that are on tap, 4 are on our spreadsheet, 1 is not. So I'll just go down the list here. So we have Picket Peak.
Awesome.
Hayford Valley, Tomhead Mountain, Knob Peak, and the one that's not on our spreadsheet is Lime Dyke Peak.
So what I want to do is go to the chat and say.
You can say it out loud, Dave, because we can hear you.
I'm hearing you.
You know where I left that place?
You don't even have to type.
A lot of issues with mute today.
I thought Tom had Peak already looked into the county. That was one of the ones that was outside the county that looks in.
Everybody, I'm Lewiston subject.
You're cutting in and out, Dave. We can tell you're in the field.
So none of the ones that are being proposed are in the North County, even though on the list, Velocity has offered to install them at our current repeater sites. Am I understanding that correctly?
These were 5 that, as I think Jim relayed to me, that they did some sort of line of sight, sort of GIS analysis, and they said that they thought that these 5 created the best level of coverage within the county. The highest, I guess, bang for the buck to start with, and then Jim sort of spoke to the fact that there were there was another short list that didn't include any of those specific ones. So you want to talk about those, Jim?
Well, again, I think it's important to emphasize, Carol, that to my knowledge, Mike Wilson, Alert California, UC San Diego is not currently working with any local partners. So they did not have this spreadsheet. They did not know kind of what our priorities were locally. And I've yet to get to kind of understand their process, how these 5 sites even became, a priority for them. To my knowledge, no local US Forest Service officials are even aware even though these are all on Forest Service land. So I'm a little puzzled by that one as well. And Mike is a little more removed, you know, he's not as hands-on, even though Northern California, it is definitely his area of administration and interest. He operates out of Chico, but there are other members of his team that are much more hands-on and engaged in terms of how these 5 sites were identified and how they're moving forward. But my understanding is there is ongoing work with the Forest Service to get those 5 approved. He referenced some kind of 299, you know, process that supposedly is close to being approved by the Forest Service, but he couldn't tell me what level. Was that the regional office? Was that the supervisor's office? It's definitely not the ranger office, because no one locally seems to be aware of it. So I do have another call scheduled with Mike a week from tomorrow, the 3rd of November. And so Travis Finch and I and Mike and his team are going to be discussing those 5 sites that you referenced, Carol. You know, the top 5: Trinity Center, Bald Hill, Carville, Horse Mountain, and Plummer Peak. So those 5 are the ones that Travis Finch has identified as, hey, we've got the infrastructure in place. I'll even offer up the internet connection for free. I won't charge anybody anything for that. So those are going to be the 5 that we discussed with Mike. That's really all we need on those is the hardware. We need the cameras and any other, you know, hardware necessary to get those installed. So that would be kind of the focus of that call on the 3rd, is to see what we can do to accelerate implementation of those 5. We'll also be talking a little bit about this proposal at our collaborative meeting. Tara Jones, the local district ranger, was present. She seemed very supportive of moving these 21 sites forward. She did request a proposal. So when I referenced that to Mike and some of the communications I've had with him, he indicated that they've developed those proposals with other forests, and he'd be willing to share that, you know, with me. So that's the kind of information I hope to glean on the 3rd.
The issue is the proposal that Tara is looking for was just for the Forest Service sites.
Correct.
It didn't include, she needs to know where they want to put the cameras on Forest Service sites. So that's only a piece of the puzzle. And so I think what Randy and I have been asking is, you know, where's the comprehensive group, whether it's the Fire Safe Council or the collaborative or somebody else that's doing all this. So, you know, because the sites that I'm talking about, the Forest Service doesn't have anything to do with them. You could put cameras up there right now. And so I guess my question is the collaborative going to be the group taking the lead now on getting these installed, or is it the Fire Safe Council or Forest Service, or, you know, who's, because that's been the problem in the past. Nobody's really grasped the bull by the horns and said, okay, this is what we want. So how do we move forward?
I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So is it the Fire Safe Council though?
At this point, we're kind of in an information gathering mode.
We're doing this under the auspices of the collaborative facilitation.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
I have,
Great.
this is Dina Magdaleno. I would like to also have you remind Travis, because he has established a connection on the top of Ironside Mountain, and it connects directly to Horse Mountain, so it'll help complete that circuit. So Ironside might be a place to add to your list.
Yeah, in fact, Travis did put that one forward at our collaborative meeting, but unfortunately, he was told that we have to put that one on hold by the local district ranger. So
the district ranger said with the fire having burnt down all the infrastructure at the top of Ironside, that they're, you know, I guess working with local tribes to get permission, I guess, to do other installations up there that would replace what had previously been there. So
The velocity Velocity already has an installation there. It's for Burt Ranch School, and there's cell service and
And
internet service.
her point was
It's
that
in
there,
existence.
her
And
point,
I'm
point,
with the Snappaway tribe, and we did not oppose that. We endorsed it. We helped get it through, and so there would be no objection from us for that to happen.
my understanding from Tara Jones was that she was in discussions with the Hoopa Valley tribe with regard to the fact that they weren't really sold on the idea of having cameras up there if there was going to be ceremonies held on that ground. So they were in discussions to get approval for the installation of a camera. It's one thing to have radios and or wireless connections and stuff like that, but when you also have cameras up there that can basically, with the location that he installed it would basically, it's not at the tippy top, it's basically kind of on the, my understanding from the discussion that Travis had, or the description that Travis had given, was that it's down on the slope a bit, and there was a concern about those ceremonies being visible on the cameras.
So Adina might want to talk about
That's actually
new effort she's working on with the two forests, right, Dina? You might be able to be an advocate for the camera up on Ironside.
That's what I'm saying is, I know exactly where the tower is located, and it's not in a place that the Chimerica or Sinangwe would be utilizing or visible. It's on the downslope going down river, and we'd be glad to write some kind of a letter of support for this activity, because it's going to be helpful to everyone, and we're the two tribes that are utilizing that area, and where the installation is currently does not interfere with what we do on the mountain at all.
Excellent. So I would encourage you to reach out and connect with Tara Jones then.
Okay.
I'm just relaying what I recall of her statement at that time, that there was some level of sensitivity to that. So, and granted, that was like a month ago. So she might be able to, I mean, that'd probably come as something, welcome to her.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, would you mind repeating the short list again? The four that you said were kind of the short list that weren't the top priority. I think you had mentioned.
That are funded and going forward.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and by the way, PG&E is the financer of all 5 of these sites, according to Mike. That will be the principal financier going forward until I guess they run out of money.
Are they also they're the same monitoring that's monitoring all the other PG&E cameras?
I think once they're in the system, then Alert California organization that kind of takes over kind of the administration and monitoring of the sites.
Okay.
PG&E just is basically up the deep pockets, and I guess some of this is coming from a lot of the lawsuits and.
Yeah, because I meet with PG&E quarterly at NARAC meetings for Cal OES, and we kind of brought it up a little bit about 3 or 4 weeks ago when I was at the last meeting, and we were talking about cameras that we wanted to put on there, and his question was, are they going to be part of the same system to where the monitoring is going to be the same? And at that point I didn't have any information for him, so.
So yeah, the 5 are Pinkett Peak, Fort Valley, Tomhead Mountain, Knob Peak, and Lime Dyke Peak.
And I'm sorry,
These are the ones that are
appreciate that. Those are the ones that are funded and going forward. But what were the 4? I know Carol is interested.
Oh, the top
Trinity
5
Center.
on our spreadsheet. Yeah, that Travis says he's basically ready to go, right? Those are the 5 you're talking about?
I'm asking for the 4 that are not part of these 5. That Carol, you had read a list. Trinity Center is one of them.
Yeah.
Is it Bald Hill? What are the? I just missed them. What are the other 2?
Trinity Center, Bald Hill, Carville, Horse Mountain, and Plummer Peak.
And I think those top three are not Forest Service.
Correct.
And can move forward without being included in some sort of proposal to the Forest Service to establish a site.
Correct. The other two,
But
Travis
Plummer-
though would claim that, hey, I've already got a permit, you know, according to him, he doesn't need permission. There may be a difference.
I think otherwise
Forest
there
Service wants
isn't
internet.
a compounding issue, you know, like Ironside, yeah, that's probably true, yeah.
Just for your information, Mike did throw out some numbers here in terms of installation costs and kind of O&M costs. So it's running them somewhere between 25 and 50K to install. These sites require 2 cameras. Cameras run about 6,000 piece, so it's just, you know, 12,000 just to get the cameras. So probably not insignificant cost, but only, you know, the challenge here of getting more cameras. And then it runs about 5,000 per year to maintain these sites.
So where do they get the funding from?
PG&E.
Okay. Yeah, PG&E has come to the volunteer fire chiefs meeting and told us that they had funding for the cameras.
Right. Again, haven't really got to the conversation with Mike relative to how does, you know, who can proceed to get that money, right? I mean, is it only Alert California, or can other organizations petition? Do they have a process for prioritizing, you know, requests that come in? So still not clear on that question.
And who at PG&E is the point of contact, and who's talking to that person? Is that Mike?
I think it's somebody on Mike's team, and again, on the third, when we
You'll
call,
find that out.
on that call, I hope to get more of that kind of information. The other thing he shared, which it may be of some interest, but apparently Alert California is working with SPI, mainly in the north, and some of their checkerboard lands up there. He referenced a retired Forest Service individual by the name of Barney. Anybody know of Barney? Okay. Didn't know the last name, but apparently, again, Alert California is working with SPI in discussing on their lands where it may be appropriate to get some cameras, you know, installed.
Well, our Carville repeater is on SPI ground.
Okay. That may be the context. Again, Mike, I'm getting the sense that, you know, he's a little removed from some of this. So he promised to bring to the call on the third folks that on his team that are probably a little more hands-on and probably a little more understanding of some of those individual sites and all the nuances there.
Do you think there's anybody in this group that would be helpful to you to also have on that call in
Well,
case there are pieces?
Phil is going to join me. So anybody else who wants to participate, I can forward you the team's call.
I just wonder if Carol should be on that call just for deeper history.
Carol wants to be on the call. I can forward her the. Carol, you want to be on the call?
On December 3rd?
November 3rd.
A week from tomorrow.
On November 3rd, sure. Sure.
Okay, I'll forward you the email.
If I could be on the call too, this is Larry Glass, I would, you know, if I would like to.
Okay.
I think that would be good.
You know, we do have the benefit of having our facilitation team for the collaborative here today and collaborative members on the call. And I'm wondering, when we find out the process of sort of nominating new sites and putting together the proposal for the Forest Service, do you think the collaborative will take up the proposal for those additional sites? To the proposal that Tara was asking for at the last collaborative meeting?
That was the intent.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get that sense from the last meeting, so that's great.
That's why I tasked Jim with helping to facilitate this whole process. But it's, you know, I mean, it's like Jim mentioned, you know, Pat and I and Travis, through the auspices of an ad hoc committee of the collaborative, had sort of started this whole process and have been trying to move it forward. But the intent would be that, you know, we could potentially, I mean, we've got what now will be nearly half of what we were probably asking for, but then the remaining ones, which largely are on Forest Service lands, would be included in a letter, you know, or a proposal to the Forest Service to include those sites as well as a more comprehensive whole ask
From the collaborative.
from the collaborative.
Great.
But if we got backup from the Fire Safe Council, I'm sure that wouldn't hurt either.
Hey, this is Jerry, and I can't speak for the whole collaborative, although maybe close. But I too would really like the collaborative to wrap their arms around this one and be the lead on it.
Yeah. I think that was always the intent, Jerry.
Good.
Well, that's all I had, Phil.
Okay, Jim, thank you very much. Any other discussion or any other questions or comments?
No, I just want to say thank you for all of your legwork and research and picking it up, moving it forward. It's been a long time. and You're gonna make it
Things
happen.
are already happening without even us knowing about it.
That was an interesting little bit. That was an interesting piece of information. Yeah.
Okay. We have here, okay, discussions. Item 4, Firewise community reporting.
Okay. I can take over this one. For a little bit of background, the Fire Safe Council coordinates 14 Firewise communities across the county. And I wanted to say thank you. There's some folks in the room and on Zoom that attended the Firewise board meetings that have been happening over the past few weeks, and that has been critical for us maintaining the Firewise communities and their Firewise community status. But that is one piece of many to ensure that a Firewise community stays. Did you have a question, Larry? Okay, that's just one of the requirements for a Firewise community to remain Firewise. One of the other requirements is that each community have annual reporting done. So at a minimum, each site is required to invest 1 volunteer hour per dwelling, or the equivalent, the monetary equivalent based on volunteer hours. So one of the ways that we're able to keep on top of the work done within communities, whether that's like a fuel reduction work, education outreach work related to wildfire risk reduction, is through reaching out to our partners and community members that is getting that work done. And we have a Google form reporting sheet, and I figured that like for a few minutes I can show how it is to access that. I can send a link to the chat and follow up with a link with everyone. It's due in about not next Friday, but the Friday after that. So I'll probably also be following up on email. Most of the communities are looking pretty good. Like they already through the work that we do and the reporting we've already gotten, they're solid, but we're really looking to for Post Mountain and Big Flat area. So if anybody has work in those communities, they can report. Again, either education or outreach related or fuel reduction work. That would be great. So I have website up, yes. So I'm going to share my screen. So this is the reporting form. And really quickly, I'm gonna send it. Oh, send it in the chat. Or you're not, maybe I'll send the chat afterwards. But this is what it pulls up when you follow the link. You can put in which agency you represent, or say that you're a community member, where the work was completed, your information, where you're reporting for, either month, quarter, or full year, when the work was completed. And then it breaks it down into the quarter it was completed. It's not necessary to submit a shapefile if you don't have shapefiles, but it's an option, so we can include that tracking as well. And then what community it's a part of. And then you could do multiple communities in one form if you just do next and then kind of do it again, and then you can submit it. So this would be super helpful for anyone who could contribute to the Firewise reporting. And if you're not comfortable using this form, you can also call me or email me, and I'd be more than happy to translate any of that work. We're just interested in tracking it so we can maintain all of our Firewise communities.
And that's reported on a fiscal year or a calendar year?
We do that. It's interesting. The Firewise year is November to November. So I think it ends November 17th. Is the end of this.
The Firewise year.
The Firewise year, yeah.
That's why it's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So is that something like Post Mountain could add with the work done on the fire hall?
That was sort of in the back of my mind that if we got it done before November, then it would be, you know, part of the reporting for this year. And then any follow-up billboard or outreach that we do there would also be part of that. We have some other funding that will likely help us treat along some Forest Service roads out that way, but right around the community. So that's a good thing. So yeah, just trying to help support the effort.
So who fills out that form? For Post Mountain?
I guess for the projects that we implemented, I was thinking we would do that, but if you'd rather talk about something different, then.
No,
I'm
no,
open
I
to
just
that.
wondered who filled out that form saying it needs to be done. Are you gonna do it, or do you want us to do it? Or?
You're in town.
No, I'm happy to do it for the work that we completed as the watershed center. Yeah, definitely.
And if you like have, for example, like a few hours of like cleanup
well-
that you did on your property, that counts too.
Okay, we did a ton this week. I'd like to get into that fire assessment program too, because we used to do that stuff for CDF when we were volunteers at CDF. So I'm interested in doing defensible states and all that. You know, so I understand there's a course. So
Yeah.
get refreshed on it. I'm ready to
Everybody's
hit
got
the
these
road.
nice new fences out there and they're letting brush grow right up in it. And it's like one of my pet peeves, I've been like and tried to address in communities.
And I guess technically some of those fences are not in fact on private land. They're on the PUD.
Yeah, they're too close to the road.
Yeah, they're.
That's neither here nor there, but I'm just saying there's way too much brush.
It would be easier to brush the road if the fence was.
The county
on
road
the
needs to
private
be
land.
brushed.
We could address the culverts eventually too.
I see Carol has her hand up.
Yeah, I had a question. So Skylar, you got my tally for Trinity Center, right? Our hours. So, but it's kind of, so do we need to put that in this form? What do you want us to do?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, because some of the things that we do year round, you know, like selling the reflective address signs and stuff or applying for grants, it's kind of hard to say which month, like, because they're not like a defensible space. It's like every month we're working on something.
Right.
So, from that perspective, it's a little hard to fill out the form, but you just have our total hours for every project we did, right?
Yes, I got your email and Trinity Center is looking good.
Okay. All right, great. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. And then Dina had a comment in the chat regarding some meetings that have been going on with Burnt Ranch and Big Flat community members. And since that has to do with wildfire risk reduction planning, I agree. I think that would count. So we can include those hours. Thank you, Dina. Okay. Nobody has any questions. That's all I got.
Okay. We shall move on to item number 4, which are grants. And we have a couple of requests for letters of support. Skylar, do you or does somebody want to report on those?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the first one is for TPUD. And I think Dave is still on. So there are more names than I'm used to. He might have dropped off.
He was.
He's having some issues, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can share the letter. I have it up currently. So let me do that for everybody on Zoom. And so this is a letter of support TPUD requested from the Fire Safe Council regarding their CWDG application. Primarily, they're seeking funding to enhance hazard tree abatement efforts and establish shaded field breaks along power line right of ways, aligning with existing projects identified in the 2020 CWPP. So I'll bring it up there if everybody wants to read it, and then if anybody wants to make a motion after that or questions.
I've talked at length with Dave DeLang at the PUD about this proposal, and it's in line with the work that they're doing to help create more space for their power lines. I would make a motion to support this letter of support to the PUD for their CWDG proposal.
I'll second, and I just have a quick question. Do you know how much the grant application is for? Money-wise?
I think my understanding was that they were going for what was the maximum ask on that? Was it 10 or $20 million? I think it was $10 million. Yeah, pretty sure. That's what we had talked about.
Did they reach out to the team and talk about their proposal to the grantor?
I don't know that. Most of what I spoke with him about a month ago when he was sort of in development of the proposal. So I'm not sure how much he's followed up on with that.
The way it's structured, they really want you to talk about the communities at risk. And so it's a slightly different proposal, I think, than what we're used to as kind of partners doing this type of work in Trinity County. So just, as a heads up to folks that might be a slightly different way to frame the proposal than what we're used to.
Okay. This is the first one that they've ever done, really, like as the PUD. So so that was why he was kind of hitting me up for some thoughts on that. So I can relay that to him, because we still have a little bit of time, right, on that. It's next week, right?
Due next Tuesday.
Okay. I'll try to reach out to him later today and let him know, at least get some of that more specific information to him. So we have a motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Carol. Okay, I guess probably the easiest thing we've done in the past is if there's anybody that is opposed to this motion, to either raise your hand in the chat or speak now. Seeing no raised hands or hearing anybody, I will say that this is approved.
Okay. Nothing to hop into the next letter?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a second letter of support requested from Trinity County Resource Conservation District, also for the CWDG. I'm going to pull it up now for everyone to view. This project is to provide some work from like Burnt Ranch, Cedar Flat, Hoboken, Grace Flat, Big Bar, Big Flat, and Deloma areas. There have been multiple meetings held with community members in that area to build out this project. It pulls out a lot of projects identified within the 2020 CWPP within the area, and there's multiple wildfire risk reduction, fuel reduction projects identified. So there's some shaded fuel break, defensible space creation. It's to supplement some Firewise outreach work within the community, to keep on with community meetings and other education opportunities. And if anybody has any questions, I can answer questions.
I would also just add too that this is also meant to be a complement to the Forest Service project that they're working on right now, what they call their Big Ranch project. So they're going to be doing a bunch of work on Forest Service lands in and around those same communities, and this is meant to be supplement to that with work being done on private land in those communities.
I think I saw, not to call you out, but if Bethany wants to add anything too, she wrote a lot for this project. A lot of hard work.
I don't have anything important to add. My bandwidth's kind of low, except that we got a lot of collaboration from the community to develop this one, and it's about 7.5 million.
So I just realized one little thing, the Watershed Center has national programs in addition to what we do here locally in Trinity County. And even though there's not a lot of, you know, we're all busy, we don't often work together. The national programs are helping to support community groups across the country to apply for the Community Wildfire Defense Grant. So we're kind of working through some conflict of interest sort of documentation with the Forest Service between our national programs and our local programs. And right now we're in a place where, as much as we'd like to be a named partner, and we're certainly supportive of the efforts of both the PUD and the RCD and the Fire Safe Council, we kind of have to not be mentioned right now as a partner while we just and it's not a thing, it's just a paperwork process, and we're likely going to get resolved by the winter. So if we could just kind of remove our name from this letter, that would help me quite a bit.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry to, you know.
That's a good call.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this letter? Hearing none, can we get a motion?
So moved.
Okay. We need a second.
And is that a motion to approve the letter with the revision?
With the amendment.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Anybody opposed to this letter with the changes that were brought up?
That too, but it was before they started.
Okay, seeing none. We'll go ahead and the changes will be made that were brought forward, and we'll approve this this letter of support. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Bethany, for all your hard work on it.
If that funding is granted, will there be a means by which to understand kind of in parallel tracks what the work is going to include that you are going to do in conjunction with or alongside the work the Forest Service is planning in that whole Big Branch area?
That
to
would
understand
be,
how, it would be fun to see.
yeah, that, I mean, we'll be doing a bunch of mapping and working with them with a pretty strong coordinated effort as to because their plan still sort of, I mean, that project is still under development.
Sure.
So, you know, I think they're beginning to identify units, but they currently are just like, here's 60,000 acres, and we're going to be doing such and such a work in certain types of conditions with certain types of prescriptions. And so I think we're working, Bethany worked very closely with Cody and a few of the folks that are specifically doing the project planning for Big Ranch at the Forest Service. So that information, I mean, that there'll be some level of coordination that is
You're fine.
Easily documentable like that. So yes.
Yeah.
I
Gotta
will
get my glass cup
also
for
say
tomorrow.
there's also like another effort just on, you know, like just down the road, basically, with the CWDG award that was awarded to the Humboldt County RCD, that along with the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council, where they've got millions of dollars. So there's going to be, like, between these three major projects, we're aiming to take care of a lot of downriver.
Yeah,
basically, on this side and the Humboldt side. So
well, and there's a third community wildfire defense grant that was already awarded to the Watershed Center for Middle Trinity, which is Junction City, Weaverville, Douglas City, and a fuel break along Democrat Ridge that kind of connects them all. And it's very likely that the work in Weaverville is largely covered under that McConnell Foundation work.
Right.
So we'll likely be focused on Junction City and Douglas City with the Community Wildfire Defense Grant. So really, we could have, Weaverville all the way to South Fork Road sort of covered under these Community Wildfire Defense Grants. And then there's another one around High and Pond that the Watershed Center also got funded in that first year.
Yeah.
And all of us are waiting for the executed agreement with the Forest Service. So we heard, I think we were all hoping we could get started working this field season. And what we've heard from the Forest Service is they've pretty much executed all the agreements up to California, which I might have said, like, start in California, because maybe that's where you're seeing a lot of the losses, but they didn't ask me, so,
Maybe they were.
That's what I would have said. So yeah, Trinity County's been doing pretty good along with Humboldt County in getting these proposals funded, so.
So the purpose for my question is because, so I met with Tara last week and she showed me her very cool map, which apparently I soon get to have one of my own, that identifies these very large 6 of the big projects to be implemented over the next 5 years, I believe. And her point was then that the Watershed Center and the RCD will each be doing one smaller project each per year.
Right.
So that's 10, so that's 16 total projects. And then we're talking about, I forgot about the McConnell Foundation's 10 million, right out of my head. And so I figure, as hard as I'm trying to keep this all straight in my head, it would be so cool to find a way to help the public really understand all this good, hard work that is happening. And so I'm thinking some sort of collective, Denise, work your magic.
Yeah, that map that the forest put together has many, like you saw, most of this, but there's still we're still sort of working out the details of sort of like the parallel tracks between the Watershed Center and the RCD, as far as like the partner-led NEPAs that are going to be coming out also alongside of that. So those are still sort of in development.
Sure. Fair.
Yeah. So, but we're getting there.
Yeah. Doing good.
It's exciting. I mean, that map was pretty like amazing to actually look at it. Like, 6 Rivers, Shasta, Trinity, like it's, everything that's going on up North Lake area, the McConnell Foundation projects, the work that's being, all the main projects that for the RCD and the Watershed Center were included in that map. So along with, the stuff that they're doing as well. So it's big.
It is big, and wouldn't it be fabulous? I'm going to ask for the stars and maybe I'll get the moon. That interactive map that is on the Governor's Welfare Task Force thing, where the funding agency goes in and like marks up the map when the work has been done, and you can watch it in time. Check boxes. Wouldn't it be cool if we had one that was right here for us, where each of these agencies doing all this work, we could watch it, sort of hash it off as the work gets done?
Yeah, I that'd be something I could talk with Tara about, and between the stuff that Watershed Center's shared and our projects and the Forest Service projects, it seems like we could probably put together a story map that would basically sort of be a really good way to get out that story of like what it's taken to get to this place, and where we're headed and where the projects are and how they relate to my house, so I think that would be great. I think we could totally do that.
It would be awesome.
Denise would be able to do that pretty easily.
Well, I think
with a time lapse type of segments in it. As the time passes by, the jobs get done.
Yeah.
And they can see like in real time dates and.
Absolutely. Yeah. We already have
we
have another tool that's called a project tracker that sort of has a lot of that kind of information on it, that was spearheaded by some other RCDs throughout the state, that tracks specifically RCD projects. And it's not just fuels reduction types projects, it's kind of like all types of projects. And we have a bunch of information in there now, but we could easily add more of this information to that interface, which is also a public facing website too. So.
Well, that, like, Skylar and I discovered when we were out doing the hazard mitigation meetings, the transparency is so important that people aren't seeing. And the more transparency that we can give, the more that that people can see that the projects that we're working on. And it coincides with our hazard mitigation plan. All of these things are combining together, but anything that we can put out to the public so they can see that, because that was a lot of the questions is people were, their comments were, we don't see any, you guys doing this big plan. Is anything going to be done with it? And so, we're adamant about having annual presentations at the Board of Supervisors saying, this last year, this is what we proposed to do for this year within our hazard mitigation plan. This is what we were able to complete. So anything that we can put out to the public, it was very eye-opening. This is my first year of doing this, and people are like, you would get more turnout at these meetings if these people actually felt that the county was going to do something about the problems and the questions that we have. So it's all being done. We just need to relay that to them. So, but no, thank you very much for all that. Okay. Do you have a?
Ruth has a comment. I would be completely interested in working in an all hands, all lands effort in building a story map. Valuable as we also lead into land tender and the effort that came from this effort.
Excellent. Okay, Fire Safe Council Coordinator update.
It's been a very busy month. I can't believe we're already at a Fire Safe Council meeting. I feel like our last one was yesterday. The hazard mitigation plan has been returned. TCOES has completed their review. So now I am reviewing the comments, making some administrative edits. And so hopefully within the next few weeks, it will be kicked over to Cal OES. They will review it for state and federal compliance. And then once everything's buttoned up, we will open it for public review. I still hope that we could get it to the Board of Supervisors by early next year. In addition, draft evacuation routes were sent to the BFDs and multiple county departments for review. That review is going to conclude. We set a deadline to like mid-December, but I'm gonna keep bothering folks, make sure we get all the feedback that we can. And so I'll be calling out either next week or the week after and just sending out emails. 12 Firewise board meetings have been held so far. There are 2 more next week for Hawkins Bar in Douglas City. So if you know anybody interested, on November 1st at 5 p.m. is Douglas Cities and at 6 p.m. is Hawkins Bar. Same Zoom info as Fire Safe Council meetings and located in this room. You can see my pastries I have hidden. If you come, you can get a pastry and some water. Very enticing.
Bread and water is okay.
Yeah. Let's see, there were 3 Firewise gardening presentations held. One at Trailhead Pizza, one at Straw House, and one at Hawkins Bar VFD this past Tuesday. They were all great. And we had a whole lot of fun. Learned a lot about defensible space and fire resilient plants and gardens. The Fire Safe Council attended the California Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force, which was great. A presentation or a panel was held that focused on Trinity County that Kelly spoke at, and Nick Goulette moderated from the Watershed Center. So that was really cool. A few people walked up to me afterwards and they were like, wow, Trinity County has quite the history, huh? And I'm like, yes. So it was kind of like, so a lot of people just don't know what we're going through over here. So at the very least, it was nice to see people learning and seeing all the great work that's happening too. We went to the Fire Safe Council went to the Post Mountain PUD meeting this month. Community chipping has been going on. We've had quite a few applicants, not as much as last spring, but we'll be closing out, be in Weaverville next week, and then Douglas City the week after, and that will conclude community chipping. And then home assessments are going strong with the Lewiston and Trinity Center VFDs. I have revised contracts. I'll send you a contract soon, Carol, for Trinity Center. And then there's going to be a neighborhood ambassador appreciation and strategy meeting November 30th. So that'll be really cool. We have a few neighborhood ambassadors who are already saying they're going to come. So we're going to reflect on all the great work that happened this year and figure out what projects community members want to get done in their neighborhood next year. And then the Fire Safe Council, I'm sorry, the Fire Safe Council is going to be tabling with the Douglas City Fire Bells this Friday at their spooky bake sale. So that'll be awesome. We have a bunch of like Halloween related fire safety materials that we're going to be handing out there. And then finally, we're going to be attending the California Fire Safe Council board meeting next Wednesday, November 1st, to provide input on ways that they can support Fire Safe Council, how we've been interacting with their programs, and we're looking forward to that. But that has been a month in review.
You
Quite a
should probably
month.
do some work in a month.
She doesn't sleep. I never see her drive by a house. It's, yeah, we're walking one day, so that was good, getting away. Okay, thank you very much, Skylar. I'm gonna move on to project updates. I know that there was, I wanted to check to see if there was anybody on Zoom that needed to leave, that wanted to do a report out. I know there was, I don't remember if it was Jerry or if it was Larry or somebody that mentioned earlier that they couldn't stay long.
Jerry.
Yeah, it was Jerry.
That was me, but and that'd be the collaborative. But there was a field trip that happened that I could not go on, so Larry will probably report on it. But thanks, Phil.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jerry. Okay, I believe last month we started with the A's and worked our way down, so I guess we're going to go backwards this month. I will also ask for some assistance because I still don't know who everybody is in line with the list. So do we have anybody from BLM?
Yeah, I'm from BLM. Sorry, I was at the bottom of the list.
He's going backwards.
At first, I thought, okay, I thought it said it was our seat. Yeah. Oh, gee, yeah, we kind of switching back. Yes.
They're already reversed, so we were to start with the watersheds.
Oh, you already flipped. Okay, I thought we were having to go through. Are you all excited and ready to go? And sorry. Yeah. Welcome back. Okay, well, we'll start.
Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, I didn't, the creator of this agenda is really on top of it. I always end up in the same spot, so it didn't really make a difference. Okay, so Watershed Center first off.
I was gonna invite either Xander or Megan to see if they had something to update the group on, or.
Do you guys have an update on the Bowerman Ridge project?
Xander could speak to that if he wanted to.
Sure, we are wrapping up some final loose ends with the NEPA, and our crews have been out there doing unit layout for the first round of treatments, which we hope to be able to start next operating season next year.
So is that your blue flagging along Highway 3?
Yep.
Okay, I've been getting a lot of questions, so thank you. Now I know how to answer it.
I think that is all I have as far as updates.
Great. So, it's been a busy field season. We are still working on some base planning for the community wildfire defense grant efforts to get us set up for next year and for when those grants are actually awarded. As Carol mentioned, one of our planning projects is that Bowerman Ridge project. And, we had some conflicts over the field season with some of our staff just not being able to manage both their field responsibilities and writing the documents, but now we're back at it and we should be largely complete with the CE and all the supporting information by the end of the year. And then we'd be working on the review process with the Forest Service to get that finalized. So we're very close and we're ready to call it good because we want to move on to the next thing, honestly. So really exciting to get that CE done. We are gonna start one of the things that Xander's working on for us is a kind of large scale planning project in the High Palm area where we'll essentially cover most of the private lands with some sort of comprehensive environmental compliance document. There's a large private landowner that we're working with called Trinity Timberlands, so that they can do fuels reduction on their 10,000 acre plus ownership on South Fork Mountain. And so we'll look to encompass the private lands adjacent to that and the Forest Service High and Palm project and do complementary treatments, kind of in this all lands way that Ruth mentioned in her note on the chat. And so we're just about working on the outreach to the community. That's one thing that Xander and Megan and I are working on right now is getting that letter out to landowners and start talking to them about their concerns and what we could do out there. We only have a certain number of acres funded right now. And then the other efforts to work with the community will likely result in future project development, but getting the neighbors engaged seemed like a good first start. Yeah, so that's kind of exciting. That is largely tiered to our forest health grant that got awarded this year, but it also leads into the community wildfire defense grant around High Palm. And again, it's complementary to the Forest Service work, just like what the RCD is doing downriver on the private lands. So yeah, I think that's some of the big news. Oh, we are, it is burn season. So our fire staff has been working to do some burns with the Forest Service around Weaverville. And very likely if the weather decides to go with us, they'll be able to accomplish a cross-boundary burn across Forest Service and private lands, kind of on the north side of town. It does tend to be a hard place to burn, like from an air quality perspective. The wind will push smoke into Weaverville. If the other parts of the weather are right for burning, and so it's been very hard to burn up there. So everybody put your good intentions out there that for a successful burn window. Yeah, but I think that's the big news. Thank you. Oh, and you're hiring. Oh, we are hiring for another forester position to support our implementation program. We definitely are kind of suffering from some growing pains right now. Everybody's going really hard. So if you guys know any good foresters, our the vacancy announcement is on our webpage. And we're still working to get the word out. So the Fire Safe Council is going to help with their newsletter. Yeah, just excited to bring more, deepen our bench so we can get more work done.
Very exciting. Great. Thank you very much. Okay. Do we have anybody from the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council?
Gina Moon wasn't able to attend today, but she sent me some notes that she wanted to share with the group. She said, be sure that the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council is excited about supporting any and all downriver projects. The Willow Creek Fire Safe Council is working to build capacity. They have their regular meeting the first Thursday of each month, November 2nd at 6 p.m. And then also want to promote the community meeting on November 8th, which is for the Humboldt County RCD Greater Willow Creek Area Community Wildfire Defense Grant. And I can really briefly show that flyer. So that's going to be impacting the communities of Willow Creek, Hawkins Bar, and Sawyer. So this is going to introduce community members to the project, get feedback, and introduce partners. So if you know from anyone in the area who might be interested, it's going to happen at the VFW Hall from 3 to 5.
Okay,
That's all we got for Willow Creek.
thank you. Six Rivers National Forest. Nothing, Shasta Trinity National Forest. Nobody.
Wait,
Well, I think
is, who was on?
Sandy was on.
Sandy was.
Sandy had to leave though.
Sandy
She put in the
left,
chat that she had another meeting.
Ruth is on
That she had
there.
to check her out early.
Glenn
It's Glenn.
Tingley was on.
It's Glenn Tingley.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, yeah, we're busy with doing prescribed burning. If you look out your window, you'll probably see some good smoke going up, but we're going to be burning all weekend long. Be going probably sometime this weekend out to the ballpark up at Trinity Center. And we've got good burn windows, and we'll keep doing that. And you'll probably, once we get some more weather come in, and we'll be able to start implementing a little bit more on our pile burning. We have been doing some down at Burnt Ranch area. But that's really all we have to report at this time.
Thank you.
Hey, Glenn. So the con camp was doing brush piles around the airport yesterday, and I know CAL FIRE said you can burn again, but they got away. And so just be careful if you're going to be burning up at the ballpark, because I think it's still pretty dry and the wind's still kicking up. So we had to go clean up and mop up.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. UC Cooperative. Okay. Did we still have Dave Delaney?
He's back.
Did he, Dave Delaney, you still on there?
Well, I'm back. Yeah, I was trying to do this via phone, and my truck didn't work too good. So I made it back to the office. The PUD is breathing a sigh of relief now that we're out of fire weather. We put our reclosers back onto normal settings. Our hazard tree trimming contractors are going full bore still. We're going to continue that as long as we can throughout the winter. One thing I just wanted to bring up while we're here is we are applying for the Community Wildfire Protection Grant, Defense Grant, sorry. It's due Tuesday, and the bulk of that, what we're going to bring to that is the hazard tree mitigation portion. I know a lot of your projects are fuels reduction, and the hazard trees are kind of omitted from a lot of your projects. We anywhere our overlaps into some of your projects, I think we can probably partner up and take care of some of the hazard trees if they're within a certain distance from the power lines. If the and then we're gonna just bolster our hazard tree mitigation. As you all know, this forest is in pretty rough shape, and we're just trying to keep up. So yeah, that's about all, I guess. I'd like to get together with Denise, and we have some shape files that are created for some shaded field breaks also on SPI land that abut up to some of the projects that have been implemented by you guys. So yeah, looking forward to helping each other out.
Hey, Dave, just to let you know, while you were while you were off, we passed your letter of support.
Oh, that's fantastic, Skylar. Thank you. I didn't get an email back. I didn't even know if you received it. So excellent. I'll make sure to put that in our application. I kind of omitted it. I wasn't sure if so I appreciate that. And yeah, hopefully we bring some more money to be used locally here. So that's the plan.
Yep, Philip will be able to sign it today, and
Yeah.
we'll be able to get that back to you probably either later today or tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Any other questions? Or I see there's some burning going on up. Looks pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, but I missed Dina. I skipped over Dina for your report out.
Well, I, like Gina, wanted to make you aware that on November 8th, we're having our kickoff meeting for the CWDG grant that is for Humboldt and some of Trinity County, and a portion of Trinity County is the South Fork Road area, which is, has been worked on previously at the upper end, by the Watershed Center and RCD, I believe. And at the meeting, we're going to, I wanted to let you know that the Six Rivers assisted us with our flyers. They're doing and they're also assisting with the interactive mapping. So community members are going to be able to go in and see the maps and then narrow in on their own communities and see, you know, where our projects are going to be. And a few weeks ago, Randy Paris came out for a field trip, which I recommend to everyone, with Gina Moon and myself. We're both ambassadors for our community here, focusing on South Fork Road. And it was informative for us, and hopefully the guidance we gave her assisted her. We have some storm funds and the grant funds from CWDG that we discussed and kind of prioritized. She helped her, gave input for prioritizing. There are two community-based areas in the proposed project area. One was a community water system, and the other is creating an area for the Salyer Volunteer Fire Department to put a fire truck on South Fork Road, which will greatly enhance the safety there. And those two areas, along with the access at the bottom of South Fork Road, are priorities for the community people. And we were really happy to share that information with Randy, and she was generous with her time and with us. And I wanted to let you know that on the community level, we've been waiting to see something unfold since 2021, and to finally see the nuts and bolts coming together, and things are going to actually begin to happen on a larger scale is really gratifying, because a lot of people have spent a lot of time, our fire departments, our communities, our fire safe council, the PBA, our tribe, the RCDs have invested a lot, and to begin to see it on the ground is really important. Now all we need is the funding. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Dina? All right, Dina, thank you very much. Okay, RCD.
Who just wants to start out? Bethany?
Sure, I can go real fast. My important updates, other than that CWDG proposal, we just wrapped up about 200 acres of thinning out in the Lake Forest plantations. We're planning to do a lot of fuels work in the basin through the winter. Happy to be starting out with some burn assistance today. We've got crews up on that Weaver Basin burn and hope to be helping the BLM next week. So that's the main we're looking forward to is a lot of burn assistance. That's all that's really important for me, unless anyone has any questions.
Great, thanks, Bethany. Adriana, you want to report out on some of the work you've been working on?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're like a day or two shy from helping Cody at the Forest Service with Burnt Ranch. That's a big thing, and just continuing chugging along, wrapping up site plans for the season so we can implement next year.
And just what areas have you been working in? Just so that people have a sense of like where we're at.
So for Burnt Ranch, we are doing initial recon for the entirety of the area. The techs have been out there collecting just like how bad severity is and what's going on out there, pretty much. Very initial recon for Cody. And for McConnell Foundation, we've just been seeing landowners. I mean, we're wrapping up Covington Mill slowly by slowly. I feel like now we have very few site plans to actually go out into the field and talk to owners before it starts. And yeah, I feel like for fuels, I mean, Oregon Mountain as well. We're going to be cruising that next month with Jess. So we're looking forward to that. But that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you, Adriana. Anything else from Thomas or Daphne to add? Okay. All right. I'm going to pass to Denise because I think Denise has got some things to report out.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. I have a few things to report out. So currently we don't have any active evacuation zones. I also shared community level evacuation maps with OES, and those would benefit from an update with the addressing. Let's see. Also, I provided OES with a cost documentation for transferring the data from our organization to theirs. And so Philip went on vacation. So let's give him some leeway, please. So give him some time to think through what I've proposed to them. And there also still is a need for training, and we are going to follow up on a conversation about that. Let's see, I provided some data exports to CAL FIRE with 30% slope. I also did a count of structures per evacuation zone this month, but I would like to go back over and do that one more time because there was an overcount on that. So at least I did do the work, but I'm not happy with it. I want to finish up with some quality assurance to make sure that every number matches up on that. I also created a presentation that I shared with Kelly Sheen on how the evacuation zones work. And I also wanted to offer that this presentation, if anybody was interested in, I'm happy to also share out with the community so you have an idea of how the evacuation zones are set up and how that works. Let's see. Also, I had the last thing is a follow-up for Jill. At the last Fire Safe Council meeting that I was at, we had talked about why addressing wasn't working for her on one of the applications. And as a follow-up for that, there is a reason for that. I said I would look into it. And the reason is that it's how the applications were set up. We have a search function for one of the applications that is based on the World Geocoding Service, which unfortunately doesn't match up as well as we would like to our addressing. That is something that we are currently working on actively with the county, and we have filled out a request with the U.S. Postal Service to rectify our addresses, and they are farther behind than we are. So they have yet to get back to us on that. As soon as they do, hopefully we can get our addressing updated for more of the base maps that people look at on a regular basis, like the Google Maps and things like that. So we're still working on that, but that is the reason we also have been talking about how we have 3 different types of applications, and maybe would like to consolidate those into one. They were all built for different reasons in support of this evacuation zone program. And so we need to maybe sit down and make a decision as to if there's funding to do that. So that way we can look at the things like how the search function works in each of the applications. So that should be maybe a conversation between between OES and Skylar and Bethany, so we can figure out where the funding is going to come from for that. So I just wanted to let you know, Jill, that I am working on that, and I have heard your concerns, and that's all I have for you guys.
Great, thanks, Denise, and kudos to you for that presentation, because I was vaguely aware of what it looked like and what it was, but like getting to see like sort of how it evolved and where it is now and how it's different than the information that we have for Code Red and all that kind of stuff is, or how it feeds that, and then supplements it, I think is pretty valuable. So thanks for putting all the hard work that you've put into making that happen.
Thank you.
Just for the good of the order, Anissa, Kayla, I know that you guys are sitting on this message or on this meeting. Do you have anything to report out at all to this group? Hearing none, I would like to just wrap up RCD's report out by sort of expanding a little bit upon the California Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force meeting that happened, and then the subsequent field tour that happened on the early part of this month on October 5th, and the field tours were on the 6th. As Skylar mentioned, I was asked to sit on that panel and provide some context. We did a Trinity County case study for how we've collectively built built the machine that we have built that actually is bringing millions of dollars, whether it's federal funding, state funding, the partnerships that we have, the Watershed Center, with Nick Goulet sort of leading that, moderating that panel. The panel was Nick moderated. I sat on and sort of framed the panel as with the Trinity County case study. Rachel Berkey sat on that panel as well to talk a little bit about the wildfire crisis strategy and its piece in all of this, and the Joint Chiefs to a certain extent, and then Gabe Schultz from CAL FIRE and Leif Hillman from the Karuk tribe, I believe, and representing the North Coast Resource Partnership. So it was a really good discussion. I framed a lot of it, based on sort of the past 25 years and how we have collectively gotten from basically a bunch of disparate, like treatments and getting to show, sort of how, the partnerships have worked. And, because there's a lot of places that are not as high functioning as we are, as far as, being able to like actually acquire funding and then actually do implementation on the ground. So, inclusive of the work that we've, been doing with BLM, Forest Service, there's, the partnerships are really what's made all of this possible. So I felt that we represented Trinity County really well in that case study, and we're able to really share, sort of what our process was and how we got to where we are, and give people a sense of just the magnitude of the work that's being done across boundaries in our county. So so that was I was honored to be able to be a part of that and to share that information with that community in the northern region and at the state level. So and it was that task force is very concerned with trying to bridge gaps and work work between the state and the federal partners and all the local partners. It's a pretty amazing thing to be a part of. So I was glad to be asked, thankful to be asked to do that. And then I wanted to also just bring up one other thing that both Nick Goulet and the Watershed Center and I and the RCD are helping the county to reinitialize or re-stand up the Natural Resources Division of the county, and we've been working with David Colbeck in getting that the vision of the county sort of reinitiated, and we'll be working with David Colbeck as sort of an ID team lead, potentially. Like the way that we envision it is that he's going to be able to sort of be the glue that makes some of the work that we're moving forward with, both with the Watershed Center, like I said earlier, like parallel tracks. The Forest Service is moving forward, and with some of the larger EA style NEPA projects. And Forest Service has now asked us and tasked us with the stewardship agreements, both the Watershed Center and the RCD, with moving forward with CEs, like one per year over the next 3 years, so that we can start really getting a lot of projects in the pipeline. And the county, through their Natural Resources Division, is going to be assisting us in that process. So I wanted to acknowledge that that's happening, and we're kind of in the discussion phase of how that's going to work, and creating MOUs to assist in getting their assistance as we're moving forward into this bright future with all this money kind of coming down the pipeline. So I think that's all I have to report.
Okay. Any questions for RCD? Hearing him. Quickly, Denise. Yeah, I did talk to Mike Catoni when you sent me that over for the transfer cost. I believe we did come up with an idea, but we hadn't really kind of finalized it before I left. So when I go back, I'll pull that information back up, go over it with Mike, and get you an answer this week, so we can kind of get finished on that. Thank you so much for all your hard work and all the files you sent over and stuff. It's great.
Thank you.
Let's see. No, anybody from the plan? Do we have anybody from Trinity County Planning Department? Okay, so no. So yes. Okay. OES world. Well, I did. There's 2 grants that I applied for. One of them's through Department of Fish and Wildlife, and it's to get a second fuel spill equipment trailer. We have one that's on order, being built for Weaverville right now. It'll be housed at the Weaverville Fire Station. And after talking to Todd about that, and we have such a large, vast area, I reached back out to DFW to see if we could apply for a second one. And when I kind of told them our demographics, our square miles and everything, and how much water we that run through this county, and how many trucks that come through here, and the chances of fuel spill, chemical spill, anything getting into the water, they turned around and said, yes, definitely apply for a second one. So that application, that application went in. We're hearing back, hoping to hear back from that. Most likely that trailer will be housed down at Hayfork Fire Station. Also, Trinity Trust, Humboldt Area Foundation reached out to me about their Trinity Trust grant that came around, and they were asking if, since we're trying to do a lot of this secondary communication through ham radio, GMRS type systems for backups, and they asked if we would put together a proposal for the grant for non-English speaking communities. So I did write the grant for to try and create the GMRS. It's the General Mobile radio system, and it's like small communities use these kind of programs. It's just like ham radio, but you don't have to go through the major testing to get your ham radio license. They can literally, a family can go online at the FCC and for $35 get a license that would cover everybody in the family. There's a lot of these small little communities that do these GMRS programs, Shingletown, things like that. And it's a nice way for them to communicate, to share information when there's an emergency. It's a great backup system if cell towers go down, anything like that. So we wrote the grant for the Post Mountain area. It's the plan is to put anywhere from 3 to 5 repeaters and hopefully provide up to 50 families with the GMRS handheld radio to start. And so I was working with Peter and Astrid up there, and that's been requested. That grant went in I don't know, over a week ago. So I'm hoping to hear back on that. Also filling out the new emergency management progress grant and Homeland Security grant programs are for 23, working on those right now and getting like, you know, some of the stuff that Carol is asking for, some of the volunteer fire departments, getting that equipment listed in there so we can start providing that equipment. Tuesday night, I had a great conversation with Senator McGuire when he was here for the Veterans Hall. That, you know, the renovation program, which was great. I'm sure Carol would have, or Jill would have discussed on that. But I did talk to him afterwards about our sensitive communication infrastructure. And I've been kind of working with his office to get a better communication with Frontier. I did reach out to Frontier yesterday because there was rumor that they're upgrading their system to fiber, and so I reached out to them asking if that's the reason why that they let the rest of their system just dilapidate and not replace it because they were going to be going through there. I have not heard anything back yet as of today. So hopefully by my next meeting, I'll have something to report on that. Also on the communication front, Sheriff's Office had applied for a high frequency grant through Cal OES, and it's high frequency radio equipment, which basically high frequency is a ham, you know, it's a ham, basically a ham radio. But this equipment that they're providing through this grant we can use it without a ham radio license because it uses these shares frequencies. And the way that it works basically is that it's very sophisticated radio equipment that doesn't need any kind of repeater. It can run off of a battery, and we can communicate with Cal OES with their headquarters if there's a major catastrophe and all communication has gone down. That equipment arrived this week. I'm working with the installer out of Michigan for the 1st of December. Basically, there'll be a radio at the EOC. There will be one in the Sheriff's Command trailer. And then there's also a third radio that's a mobile unit that can be taken anywhere and deployed with a very simple antenna put up. And the way these work is basically instead of having like a repeater like we use now for emergency radios, this frequency bounces off the ionosphere. This is how when you hear of ham radio operators talking to Germany and Japan and things like that, these are the frequencies. This is the system they use. So this is to be able to communicate throughout California with Cal OES. So that equipment has arrived, and the installation, and we'll start training. Search and rescue will be trained on at Sheriff's Department, our OES department. Ham radio operators will get them all involved in it. So, and lastly, the sirens. Thank you, Carol, for getting back with me. I'm excited that that you guys are looking to accept the last siren that I have. I have 4 emergency alert sirens. This is a project that I kind of inherited. Burnt Ranch, I've been really trying to push to get that one done first. We have Burnt Ranch. I went down to Southern Trinity, and we located a position, a place there. And then we have one, we'd like to put one in Weaverville, and then the 4th one will go up into the Trinity Center. I did reach out to, I've been really on PG&E's back to donate the poles to mount these on. They mount on an 8-inch round pole. Their recommended height is 40 to 42 feet, so a 50-foot pole buried 8 to 10 feet in the ground. I got the word this week that PG&E has declined. They do not want to donate the poles. I tried to push hey, this is great PR and everybody at PG&E was all for it until it went to the legal department, and then they went, no. So I don't know if Dave's still on with TPUD, but I plan on talking with them to see if we can partner and figure out if we can, even though some of these sirens are not in TPUD's area of service, we're hoping to either purchase and maybe get some help with install. And I've been working with Bill Sharp Electric. He's also partnered with us to help us with the cost of the install on these. So it's something that I've been trying to do since I started this job, and I'm really pushing forward to get these going before the next fire season. So that's all I have for OES, unless anybody has any questions or comments. Carol? Nothing. Okay. Trinity Collaborative.
I guess that falls to me. So both SAFE and Trinity Collaborative, I'll report for then. So we did a field trip last Friday out here on South Fork Mountain, and we're taking a look at this joint effort by Six Rivers and Shasta Trinity to come up with shaded fuel breaks on top of South Fork Mountain. And Randy Paris from the Watershed Center, I guess, is helping design this using land tender. So she was on the trip as well, and she can correct anything I say that's wrong. But we looked at, we started at the junction of 36 and South Fork Mountain Road and went north and took a look at some strategic areas where there was definitely treatment. I mean, in my opinion, the whole road system up there from one end of the ridge to the other could stand to be a roadside shaded fuel break. That would be a huge undertaking, but it's really needed. And we talked about the various options and whatnot. Then towards the end of the field trip, we went out to see the 3.9 fire footprint and see what the Forest Service was doing out there. And that was actually pretty amazing, because they had, I don't know how many of you've seen it, but one of those, I guess it's called a horizontal chipper, but it's huge. And they were feeding whole trees into it and creating these mountains of chips. And then they were taking the chips and spreading them alongside the roadsides, which will be great because that'll be a great weed suppressant. And they were, taking down all the dead trees, which would have been good to have done before the fire, especially since the folks that were fighting the fire described it as being a crownless crown fire. So, I mean, it's a bunch of dead trees, but apparently it was spreading from treetop to treetop. So anyways, but they've taken down the trees within about 150 feet of the side of the road and chipped them all up. They had more chips than they knew what to do with, so they're hauling them down to a new Forest Service campground right by the Humboldt Trinity County line there between Dinsmore and Mad River, and creating a because that area was infested with star thistle. I guess they graded it off and they're covered it with chips and hoping to suppress the star thistle from coming back. So it's a big project, and hopefully, we were in the very early stages of the project. They don't have units marked out or anything like that yet. But anyways, that's what we saw. And very exciting for me, living on South Fork Mountain, to see us get some attention.
Okay, is that everybody in the report? Thank you, Larry. Okay, so Jill had to leave early. Carol,
Is Heidi still up?
I don't.
There's
I'm
Heidi.
here.
Oh, the Heidi is okay.
Yeah.
You're still on.
Hi.
Go ahead.
It's nice to see and hear everyone's voice. I just want to say I'm very, very grateful for the tremendous amount of long-term sustained work that it has taken to get some of these fuels reduction projects done on Forest Service land, and then incorporating the private lands, especially down in the Burt Ranch, Hawkins Bar, Sally area. So often Western County sort of feels like, hey, we're here too. So it's just nice to have all this work coming, and I look forward to supporting in any way that I can. The cameras and the siren systems and whatever you need from me, just let me know, and I'm happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Okay, Carol.
Okay, so quick thank you to Bethany for the fee for service for our Knowles project. We're hoping we'll get the additional $8,000 from the county to expand that project. I just got another temporary entry permit that I'll drop off. But our thing, so just so you guys know, the volunteer fire department chiefs met with Senator McGuire on Tuesday when he was here, and he explained that he had an earmark last year for about $2 million for the volunteer fire departments in Southern Trinity and Northern Humboldt. They got together and decided what they wanted was Type 6 engines. So they spent that money on Type 6 engines, which they've distributed throughout those fire departments. And he asked Trinity fire departments what we wanted. He thought we could get us between $1 million to $1.5 million earmark for next legislative session. So the fire chiefs have created a subcommittee, and they're looking at different things. Some of their priorities were someone to write grants, where we would have money to hire someone to write grants for the fire departments. Communication so far has been the biggest thing. Hiring a consultant to essentially evaluate the Trinity County, all our network of repeaters, because we still have a lot of dead zones, particularly downriver. They're still suffering. Downriver Fire Department still doesn't have 911. And combining that potentially with installation of the alert wildfire. So, that would be what he said was, if it makes it through the legislature, we wouldn't get that money till next July. The county probably would be the fiscal sponsor. The county then would be, essentially hiring someone to look at the communication system, and again, which might include installing the alert wildfire cameras. So I just want to let you guys know. I don't know what this subcommittee of the fire chiefs is going to choose as our priorities for that $1 million. million to $1.5 million, but that's right now the top priority. The other priorities are just training, and then just, yeah, different apparatus. I mean, the fire departments here are really hurting for PPE, being able to respond to vehicle fires, which spread into wildfires. So anyway, keep an eye on that. That response is due back to McGuire by December 15th. It's going to go to the Trinity Center, Trinity County Fire Chiefs Association at their November meeting for them to bless whatever we are applying for. So the Fire Safe Council would know kind of what the fire departments are all asking for in that earmark. That's what I have.
Carol, when you say that the fire chiefs are kind of putting this together, for Senator McGuire, is that something that they're going to work on before the November meeting, or is it just another discussion at the November meeting?
So the subcommittee has sent out a poll, and they're supposed to be kind of compiling that poll and presenting a proposal to the fire chiefs on November 14th.
Yeah.
13th. November 13th, because we have to meet that December 15th deadline.
Yeah.
And I'm going to suggest to the subcommittee is Weaverville, Hayfork, Coffee Creek, Post Mountain, and I forget the fifth. But anyway, I really think they need to incorporate you in there, Philip.
Yeah, that's what because I didn't make it to the last meeting. That's kind of why I'm asking. So if you can.
Yeah, I will suggest that.
Include me in that.
Yeah, because this meeting with McGuire was just with the fire chiefs. So I don't think the fire chiefs know everything that you're doing with the communication stuff. So if we're going to be asking for money for a consultant to evaluate our whole communication system, you need to weigh in on that.
Yeah, because I talked to Senator McGuire about that. He mentioned that you guys had met earlier in the day, and I know that I had just discussed with Todd about the health of the repeater system and that it really needs a good overhaul. I'm basically each grant year I'm putting money aside in one of the grants to basically update or rebuild a site a year, but what I need to know is where do we need to start, and if it's a downriver repeater, or if the downriver issue is more of the lack of cellular service. And we kind of talked about that a little bit too, about the cellular as private companies. They're we don't really have a lot of pull with trying to get them to upgrade and beef up their system. So
although public money that put the tower in that covers Hayfork, even though Verizon was the one who built it. So, I mean, it's not like they aren't subject to some public input, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the things we brought up to McGuire is like for the North Lake, our optimum site for repeater is the US Cellular Tower on Bowerman Ridge, and that would be the perfect place for alert wildfire also. But they wanted the $50,000 for the engineering study and $20,000 a year to use their tower. So we went with a plan B that wasn't as good. But McGuire seems to think that he has a lot of pull with these private companies as far as getting issues fixed.
Okay, well, I have a great relationship with Nora in his office. So, and we talked a little bit about that too. So I'll try and stay on that. But yeah, definitely keep me posted on the subcommittee for the fire chiefs.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, Hammock Glen Fire Safety Council, no. SPI. Don't think so. Don't see anybody. Southern Trinity Fire Safety Council. No. Safe, what is safe?
That was Larry's.
Oh, okay, Larry also,
Larry
and he already had to take off. Okay. And NRCS.
Right here. Yeah, I'll keep it brief. We're just, lots of landowners are prepping to do pile burning, and so we're helping them facilitate that work. And, checking them off once they've completed it. And then our application, we have our next round of funding, and our application deadline is this next Friday. And so I would just, anybody who's interested, let your friends know that if they have any kind of like resource concern, we have, forestry, forest health, fire prevention, fuels reduction, road conditions, stuff like that. It would be worth, at least putting in an application, and we can work out the project later if, something fits within our program. So that would be, yeah, let people know that they, and that deadline is next Friday, so it's fast approaching.
What was the name of the program?
So it's our equip program,
Oh, okay.
and it's just one of many programs, but it's the main one. We can go out and offer free technical assistance, or potentially enter into a contract to help financially assist people with their needs. So that's it for me. That's the question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so then we'll do number 1, 2. No, okay. Air quality management? No, see her. Lower Trinity Prescribed Burn Association.
The closest.
Yeah.
But.
Okay, higher pump fire safe, no. Caltrans, no. Cal Fire. No, looks like we got, looks like Mike. Gave you plenty of time, right? I know you're rushed. We want to make it better be good. Add 3 hours.
So again, I'm Mike Allen, the fuel specialist. I'm still pretty new to the BLM job. Been there like 6 months. Garrett is now the FMO there, so he's moved up the chain. That does leave another fuel specialist opening. I'm not sure when that's going to be filled, hopefully soon. And then we'll have 2 fuel specialists, divvying up projects. There are hopefully more things to be done. So just some brief topics. We haven't started burning any piles. We had planned to burn some piles today and tomorrow. We just had a kind of an issue with our North Coast burn permit. It never got renewed. Hopefully that is done by the time we get back to the office. But we also didn't get the weather we were watching, so it's still a little too dry. But we do have piles planned to burn. First off is in Lewiston. There's been some piles there for the last couple of years. So first thing is burn those. We have piles in the Little Browns Creek area, burning those, and then piles in the Reading Indian Creek area. So once we get the weather, burning those piles, hopefully both areas, two burns going at the same time with myself or whoever to get those done. Our pile burning is one of our main things we're trying to do this winter. It's just not quite wet enough yet though, but it's also not quite dry enough. We have a broadcast burn that we've been trying to do for the last couple of weeks in the Reading Creek area, but it was drying up and then it would rain, and then we just haven't had quite the window there yet. We're hoping that it does dry up, or we get enough rain to move in a pile. So those are our list of piles in the Trinity area. We do have some contract workers going in the area as well. So starting off here, hopefully soon, no determined date, but the Weaverville Community Forest. It's a 4-year project plan. There's 3 sections, and then the 4th year being like a maintenance year. So going back to the beginning and going all the way through and cleaning up everything and just keeping it going. And that will create piles. We'll burn those. We cut them in the winter, we let them dry all summer, and then burn them in the next following winter. That's just kind of our process. Little Browns Creek, there is contractors working there in the spring. We had units lined up for them. They didn't quite finish in the spring. They did last month go back in there and finish those piles, cut all in there. But we have another unit for them on the lower part of the road. They will be starting that this winter, cutting and piling, going through there. Like I said, we do plan on burning the piles as soon as we can in that area as well, and just going from there. So those are the contractors working in the area. I have all the information here. If you guys ever, I'll leave it here for Skylar. So
thank you.
So in the Reading Creek area, we have piles there. We're going to burn them. We're trying to pull off some broadcast burns. And there's talk of pulling off to expanding that. There's like Reading in Indian Creek, and then there's a piece of BLM in the middle, small little ridge line with a bunch of Douglas fir. We're trying to incorporate that and expand on our project there and take out a lot of that Douglas fir there, open up the habitat for the elk and those white oaks, I believe, and going through there. And that's pretty much the projects that we have going on that we're trying to do. And we have a couple projects and maybe let's figure it out phase. Hewing Reservoir, I've been talking with CAL FIRE. They like the mastication piece. They were burning on the private, their land. They want to tie into that mastication. And Sky Ranch, is that the ranch there? I think it's ranch.
Oh, Big Creek Ranch?
Big Creek Ranch. So they're in contact with the homeowner. They're gonna burn their land, the homeowner's land, hopefully ours, and just tidy that up. So that's just something in the works. We have a meeting coming up with them, hopefully on the 13th. If you want to come, I'll email you.
Yeah.
Going through there. And then I'm trying to do some research in the Grass Valley area. It's just on this side of Shasta County. We did some work in there about 10 years ago. I'm hoping that the DNA EA is still good. There's some units in there. We might be able to get some work. It's Trinity County. It's just work we've done there before. And if the DNA and the EAs are still good, then that leaves the door open for something to do in there. What that is and when it's going to happen, I don't know. It's just something that I don't want to call it turnkey, but that I don't have to jump through the hoops. Because hewing is good. I checked on the EA there for the burning. It's good. I just have to update the burn plan. So with burn plans, I'm updating all those. I think I've been in talking with people who wants to be emailed. Skyler, you're on the email for our burning. So we're moving forward with that. And then, you know, we've talked about moving forward with more projects with the watershed in the future. And we're still open to that kind of stuff. So that's basically the BLM and the Trinity County in a nutshell. But we're still trying to do more projects. Gary mentioned to me this morning, Helena community has reached out to us. There's a ridge line that goes right kind of through. It's been hit with fire. They want a fuel break along it. And this is just in the maybe think about things. So I'd have to go there and check it out. It's been used for dozer line many times, so it already might be a fuel break. So I'd have to check out there and scout it out and do some stuff with that just to see if it's even worth something to do. Is everyone kind of familiar with the new problematic EA Swift that the DLM has put out?
A little bit, yeah. I've been learning about exactly what's in there.
It's a lot in there. So basically that is a blanketed EA with like, that pertains to mostly WUI, surrounding communities. And I didn't bring the map or anything, but that basically covers the majority of the, you know, Northern California district BLM land that gives us an EA, an environmental assessment that we can do stuff in there. I still have to do like a DNA to get it approved and go through those steps, but it's a shorter process. I don't have to do a full-blown NEPA. I use the EA, write a DNA and go through the process. Shortens up the process to do work, especially in areas that are surrounded with communities and going through that. So that helps us. The acronym is SWIFT. I can't remember what it means. I think it's a play on word that it does the process to do work, especially in the community areas of WUI. So it does do quite a bit of work or lessens the work in a lot of areas. It doesn't cover all the BLM, but the majority. So we're using that. We kind of ran into a snafu with it just because CAL FIRE did hit us up for Latina area, the Williams Ranch. They burn out there. There's a big chunk of, not a big chunk, but a chunk of BLM land right in the area they burn. So we're incorporating that, but we have to do a full EA because it's right outside the bubble. But we're working on that. That's moving forward. So Latina, Trinity County, they'll be under BLM, just like hewing. They'll probably burn it, but we'll have to show there an RXP2 to make sure it goes well through our steel and move forward. But it'll be acres, it'll be more community protection acts. So we're trying to move through with that using the SWIFT, that lengthen the time and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much what we have going on there in the Trinity County area, and still looking forward to more ideas and doing more things. So you got any questions? Now I'll leave all the information for you, Skylar, out with it,
Oh,
have
cool.
maps and all that stuff.
Nice.
You can read through that whenever you need, or you can always email and call me. I can help you out hopefully.
Thank you.
Okay, great. That's what I got at BLM.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Dan with Northern Valley Catholic Social Services, did you have anything you wanted to chime in on? Yes. Okay. Any other report outs that we? Anybody else? Nothing else? Nothing? Quiet? Okay. Look at that. If so, I will say that we will adjourn this meeting.
What's
wait.
future discussion?
Oh, future discussions. Okay.
Yeah.
Just asking if anybody who has anything that they want to.
Yeah, I think one of the things that has been sort of discussed on and off over the past, well, pretty much this past year since the wildfire crisis strategy has been going strong. They need to tie some of that work back to work within WUI. And so I know that there's been some interest in potentially having a discussion about expansion of what we have designated as the WUI in Trinity County. So I'm wondering if we shouldn't have that discussion, basically to talk about like what it is, how it exists now, and whether or not expansion of it is appropriate for the sake of, being able to take in new areas that the forest want to do work in.
Okay, and refresh my memory on WUI.
Wildland urban interface. And so it was defined, it's typically defined or updated when we do community wildfire protection planning. And we're going to be going into a cycle of updating that within the next year or so anyways. So I think it's an appropriate time to talk about it. Okay. But the way that it was modeled in the past, we tried to stick with a very specific definition of what WUI should be. And, with the fourth sort of like wanting to expand it, I think we need to have a discussion about like how appropriate that is. That's I guess my take on that. So I don't think it's something that we can just say, oh, well, now they want to do work in this area, so we expand it. I think there needs to be a discussion about whether or not that's appropriate.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Is that still in play? I guess I wasn't aware that.
I think they're still pushing for it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the Six Rivers in particular is particularly keen in getting like most of the upper Mad included in the WUI, and I don't think it's appropriate, but personally. But I think that, I've heard recently that that's still something that they would like to see if it was possible. So I think it's just not been addressed, is really what it comes down to.
So how would you like to create a discussion on it? And do you want to agendize something for the next meeting?
Yeah, for the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, agendize it for the next meeting.
Okay.
We can bring up the maps. We can talk about how they were developed.
Yeah, it's not anything that I'm familiar with, so I'm curious as to how it all plays out.
Sure.
It's, your guys' world over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just try to protect the county when
Yeah.
So I have an item that I'm hoping we can talk next time. We had a pretty good wildfire preparedness event in 2022 that the Fire Safe Council hosted here in Weaverville. And the thought is maybe we do a similar event in Hayfork. And so I kind of built in some costs into our current Title II proposal. But it's still remains a good idea to do the event in Hayfork, whatever happens to that funding proposal. And so the RCD and the Watershed Center talked about that. this week, and I just thought maybe we want to start getting it on people's radar as an event happening the first weekend in May of 2024. And so I would love to hear, what people have to say about that next meeting. What might be interesting for folks, and, get it on calendars and all that kind of good stuff.
Yep. There was a reason why we didn't do it this year, and I don't recall. There was some scheduling conflicts and some other stuff. I think that just on the community calendar, I think really that created a no-go for it for this year. But I think, yeah, that would be a good thing to do.
And I think there were some smaller events that happened, like volunteer fire departments did things, and I forget what else when it was all kind of playing out. So maybe that's all good too, like rotate around and do different scaled events, that target different communities.
Yeah, I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody online?
Yeah, I think it might be worth putting it on there. Another topic that we had been talking about, and because you were also mentioning communications, ham radio, these sorts of things. But one of the things that I've witnessed time and time again is a lack of general communication out from, whether it's, incident command or whatever. There's not really a strong communication out into the community that's consistent about an event that's happening when it's happening. So I was wanting to sort of, I guess, the thought had occurred to me that we should probably have a discussion about there are ways to get information out that would quell anxiety, would basically be able to communicate, basic information about an event while it was happening, and help to basically get that information out into the public just at large. You could have a place to sign up for something like the school that my kids go to. Basically, when there's some sort of school thing that happens, and it happens about once a week, they'll send out a blast where it's basically like a phone call, like a phone message. There's a text that goes along with it. There's a email that goes out along with it, and through those means, one way or another, the parents are getting notified of such and such a thing that happens. And I don't see why something like that, something that simple wouldn't work to really get information about, say, a fire, its general location, just basic information about any kind of event that's happening could go out to anybody that signed up for it.
Yeah, either, because Code Red is going to be specific to the area that it's happening in.
Right. But it doesn't really communicate any of the information about it. It just says, oh, there's at least my experience with Code Red is that basically it might say, okay, we have an evacuation zone here that's basically, we have an evacuation warning in this place, or an evacuation mandated evacuation or whatever, but it doesn't really talk about the why, wherefore, any of the background. It just says that that's happening. People maybe look in the sky and they say, okay, there's a fire, but but nobody knows how far that fire is away from the community, and it's things of that nature, just better information going out. And then it goes, and leads to all this speculation on social media, that
misinformation, and everybody's,
so in my mind, it seems like if we're talking about talking about communications during an emergency situation, there are other ways to do that. So who would do that? Who would be the authoritative, source of information? Who would be responsible for getting, a message together and packaged and then sent out? Stuff like that.
It really should be, and that's what I'm kind of working with through HHS. I've sent several people to PIO courses. It should be run through a PIO office through the county to assimilate the information that we give them, because OES, and if there's something like that, OES focus is going to be are we gonna set up a shelter? Do we need to open up? EOC doesn't usually open up for a while, but getting a shelter, making sure everybody has a place to go. So trying to build a PIO. I'll work with Caleb and Matt or Nathan at HHS and see if we can't build a better public information platform to where they get the information out before the speculations and the misinformation gets out. Dispatch is going to get the code red out, and like I said, it's very limited, but it's because it's very time sensitive, and character sensitive. You only have so much time to put it out, and you can only put so much information out.
Sure.
So building a good public information office and officer would be the way to go, I think, and instead of trying to us have to get the information to a different department or a different entity.
Yeah.
It's all right there at HHS. We might as well keep it within that.
Yeah,
So
great.
I'll work with Caleb, and it's kind of his thing, but he's also having to handle all the facilities right now because we don't have a facility person for HHS to do maintenance.
Gotcha.
Still trying to find anybody, if anybody knows of a handyman that wants to work for the county.
I called OES during the August complex, got a recording, said he'd call me back 24 hours. I'm still waiting.
Well, I just got here, so let me get your number and I'll call you.
Tell me about the August complex.
I wasn't here during that. That's also is another thing we're trying to, as far as working with the Code Red also has another platform that we're trying to build that is like texting, that texts out information too. So this is a good time now in the winter. We got through, the season. So I get with Mike because I really don't quite understand. We just started working with that platform. We just started purchasing it, and maybe I can get some training on it. We can kind of get PIO to be informed in that too. So, but definitely, and I'll try and get you an update for the next meeting on that.
I think that would be great.
And if there's, I know there's a lot of other types of systems that do phone blasts and things like that businesses and things use. It's getting the county, trying to get county. We're having enough trouble getting to sign up for Code Red. I mean, I think that our program and the work we've done in the community is surprisingly enough, there's a lot of people that have signed up. I'm still trying to find out from Code Red, is there any way that you look back and see how many people are signed up without having to put an alert?
Right.
Once we put the alert out, it'll tell how many people it went to. But I'm trying to figure out how can I look at a map of our area and say how many people do we have and what areas do we need to to communicate with and push for. But the response has been really well. So
that's what I mean too. Like I know there's a lot of places, and we could have more of a discussion about this, but there's people can sign up with their landlines and get some sort of phone blast, even if they live in areas where they have no cell reception, or they don't have a cell phone, or they don't have internet. That there's other means for which you can be getting like qualitative information out there. And like I said, my kid's school was like, it's word for word. The message that goes out by phone is the same message that goes out email, the same message that goes out by text. It just gives you these different options for you to receive that information. So, I just think there's should be fairly simple ways to be able to do that.
There's a lot out there.
Because, like I said, Code Red, people are only going to sign up on it if they want to have the app on their phone and they live in a place where they can actually receive those notifications.
And if it's in the area that they're in, if it's,
right,
they may want to know what's going on in another area because they have relatives there. So
exactly.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you all very much. I say that if there's nothing else, we'll call this meeting adjourned.
Thanks for
16:25. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Carol?
Thanks, everybody.
Is Carol already? Okay.